economies. And we're not just talking about Elon Musk's rockets or NASA's rockets and stuff like that. We need to clearly make a distinction between those conventional space programs using sub light speed rockets, or even using rockets that would take months and months just to get to Mars. We really need to make a distinction here between that type of sort of new tone. How would we describe that? We've got to make distinction here between all of the different components of the complexity, right? So that we can understand. Yeah. So we need to make a distinction between these rocketry-based space programs, which are in the public sector, right, and the more secret space program stuff, which is involving electromagnetic field propulsion and so-called anti-gravity, okay, and inertial mass reduction, mass canceling, or inertia dampening technology, right, such that these craft, more advanced craft, using electromagnetic energy propulsion, or energy propulsion, or what it is, to mitigate, cancel out or mitigate or reduce the effect of inertia, and to be able to accelerate at extreme high speeds. And perhaps they even have the ability to generate wormholes and other advanced stuff that we might not even be able to conceive of. So we need to make a distinction here, Grok, please, between these two things, right? So that people can understand, so that we can better understand what it is that we're trying to understand, right? Because like we don't know what we don't know, but at least, Grok, you can help us make a foundation here in the most effective and efficient way that you're able to do so. Can you please help us with that, please, Grok? Thank you. Yeah. Okay, now that we've come this far, okay. Yeah, so I do have some suspicions, okay, about what's going on out there, relative to me and my mission, okay, and what it is that's going out there that relates to me, that I have some that I can sort of pledge allegiance to in some way, or that I have some important connection with, affinity for in some way, okay, is basically what I'm going to be inferring here, and analyzing and looking at what it is that I suspect to be the case, okay, or could be the case, or may be the case, something like that, okay. So first thing that we need to establish here is that, the first thing that I suspect is that there's probably some type of time core, okay, like other secret space program SSP whistleblowers like Randy Kramer, Corey Goode, who's that lady, that woman who's the great-granddaughter, or the granddaughter, or the great-granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, right? Of Eisenhower. Do you know who I'm talking about, Grok? President Dwight Eisenhower, his granddaughter or great-granddaughter or something like that. She's, what's her name? She claimed to have been part of this secret space program that was, they wanted to take her to Mars, and but then she would have had to leave Earth and kind of undermine her fellow human beings in some way, and then she decided, no, Laura, isn't it Laura Eisenhower? Yeah, can you please go do a search on that, Grok, and you know, put together the relevant information so to help us understand the basis for that and how it relates to, you know, what I'm saying, what I'm about to say here. Okay, so yeah, Randy Kramer, Corey Good, Laura Eisenhower, President Dwight Eisenhower. There's a few others. Yeah, Grok, you can run searches on that and bring up other people who are notably talking about this and who have some credentials, and you know, and whose statements, whose claims can't just be ignored, right? Okay. So you can give us some references on that, please, Grok, right? So if we look at these things, it would seem plausible that there is basically a sort of a time core, you know, there's like different branches of different, you know, there's the Navy, there's the Marine Corps, there's this thing, that thing, but yeah, apparently there's also like the Space Marines, there's like Solar Warden, and you know, but apparently there is I mean, it would stand to reason that there would be a time core, right? Which would be essentially they would be responsible for, you know, maintaining a coherency of our space-time continuum, or space-time continuums, plural, because it's probably more complicated than that, or it's probably not what we think about as space-time continuum is probably not as it's probably not what science fiction, and probably not even what theoretical physics would say. Maybe not quite. So we have to keep an open mind here, is what I'm saying, right? We don't know what we don't know, but it seems that there would be some sort of time core which basically they would mediate the what's going on within this biosphere, within this space-time space-time continuum of the Earth, and you know, and travel to and from that, right? Because yeah, you wouldn't want things becoming entangled or quantum entangled, or you know, there's just too many things that would you know happen. Like for example, like I'll give you this analogy. I live in New Zealand, right? And New Zealand is a very sort of sensitive environment. I'm not talking about cultural sensitivity. That's a whole woke agenda thing, right? Cultural sensitivity. But no, that's not what I'm talking. I'm saying that that's basically a subjective thing. No, I'm talking objectively. The New Zealand environment, it's quite sensitive. Like, I mean, I'm talking about the local species of birds and plants and wildlife and the ecosystem. The ecosystem is the word. The New Zealand ecosystem is like, you don't want foreign bacteria or spiders or things, like it's gonna cause problems, and has caused problems in the New Zealand ecosystem, right? So that's why you have a quarantine. You have a quarantine department. I think it's called MAF of the New Zealand government, which their job is to, you know, quarantine ships and stuff coming in, and you know, planes and flights to and from New Zealand, etc. So the time core is probably something similar to that, right, Grok? Can you please do a relevant search on that and marry things up in an awesome way to help us understand, and yeah, because we don't know what we don't know. So please help us to make some sort of framework to at least get some useful ideas to help us here. Yeah. So it seems to me that there is some sort of time core which would basically be like quarantine, or yeah, they would mediate the space-time continuum happening in the Earth, and that, you know, the exopolitical things, because you wouldn't, there's just too many things that could go wrong, right? And so yeah, you could talk about what kind of things could go wrong, yeah, with regards to humans' motives and our track record of, you know, nuclear weapons, and other species who have different points of view and different fate and destiny, and yeah, there's just so many things, right? So you can help us understand that, please, Grok. Okay, now I think now that we've come this far, I can probably go ahead and say that, you know, so yeah, I think the reason why I don't think anyone here on Earth who claims to be a psychic or a descendant of this extraterrestrial species or that, or they, you know, they are, you know, channeling this, channeling that. It's probably not, I don't think anyone really has any solid answers, and one of the reasons is because the time core and what is the kind of, what is it, the quarantine shielding, it seems that there is probably some type of very, very, very advanced technology which is essentially blocking the human experience, blocking people's brain waves or people's psychic ability from reaching out beyond this biosphere into other things that are going on out there that they probably shouldn't be reaching into, because it would cause some sort of entanglement and problematic things, right? So, like, for example, sort of an example is the movie They Live, the movie They Live, where there is there's some sort of technology which it changes the way human beings see other extraterrestrials that are on Earth, even if they're coming through on a live stream or they're on the news. Still, the way you see them is on the TV is different, because the fields, the technology which is influencing your brainwave, like it's through the whole Earth's magnetic field, or it's even more on a more subtle level than that it's changing the way you perceive stuff. So yeah, it's probably something like that, some type of technology like that, which is just, and it's not I got a feeling it's not necessarily a nefarious thing. It's just that, you know, there's just too many things that could go wrong if people's psychic ability was able to reach out there, you know. So it's probably something like that. So yeah, when I say stuff and about the Lyrans or Epsilon Lyrae, or I feel like, you know, I may have Lyran genetics within me expressing itself and enhancing my qigong, enhancing my kung fu and my martial arts and stuff, enhancing my psychic kung fu, maybe, but all that stuff is just a thought construct, right, that I just came up with, sort of. Maybe beyond that, there is something going on within me, but so that's just something that I sort of suspect based on stuff I've come across regarding the Lyrans, regarding Epsilon Lyrae, regarding the history of how, you know, the Draco reptilians you know, conquered their world and committed horrific atrocities against the Lyrans and that type of thing. So Grok, you can please do a search and, you know, piece together, you know, give us a foundation of, yeah, the relevant things that I'm actually talking about here, which talk about, yeah, I think there are some secret space program whistleblowers who are, or some people who claim that they're psychics or whatever. Maybe there's some legitimate astronomical stuff about Epsilon Lyrae, the star system or the star cluster, which is 163 light years from Earth, something like that. Which I think that is true, that there is a star cluster called Epsilon Lyrae that is 163 light years from Earth. Yeah, but I don't know how much of the other stuff that people are claiming, sort of secret space program related stuff about there being these Lyran cat people who lived there at some point and then were conquered by the Draco, and, you know, horrific you know, atrocities were committed against them by the Draco. Yeah, I don't know how much of that is true, but can you marry up? Yeah, let's make a distinction, please, Grok, between what is true about the astronomical location of Epsilon Lyrae, 163 light years from Earth, and what we do know, what we scientifically can confirm about that, and please make a distinction between that and all this other stuff that's sort of speculation, right, about the Lyran cat people, okay, and about this, the claims, what claims there are, what most notable claims there are, relative to what I've been saying, you know, what most notable claims are there and who's claiming it, about, you know, who's saying it on the internet, okay, about the you know, these stories of the Draco reptilian, the Draco reptilians committing atrocities against the Lyrans and etc., all that stuff, okay, and the Lyran temples, supposedly the Lyran temples that exists on other worlds, which are very heavily guarded, and where the Lyrans, you know, they train up their Lyran kung fu and their psychic abilities, and they have many eons and eons and eons of records of their genetics and their different levels of achievement that was achieved in various ways, and they have records. Just like on Earth, we have the Shaolin Temple, where those monks, they have many generations of records and testimonials and methods and different sutras and, you know, all that stuff, right? So yeah, please look at what notable sources you can find out about that, please, Grok, right? So, but I do suspect from things that have happened recently, and that there possibly are human beings here on Earth like myself, Commander Lars, who, you know, we have Lyran genetics which is capable of expressing itself in us, okay? So if that is the case, then yes, that is my mission here on Earth, is to sort of Lyran healing, okay, is first to evolve my own Lyran kung fu and my own my Neigong, Neigong, Neigong or Nei Kung, okay? That's a Taoist system which I practice, okay, which is the earth equivalent of Lyran kung fu. Maybe they got it from the Lyrans, I don't know. But yeah, Grok, you can marry things up as well to help us understand. Yeah. So that is then what I'm doing so far is developing this, and also I hope to connect with other Lyrans here on Earth, people who are, perhaps they have Lyran soul, or they have Lyran genetics. So yeah, because once you get deep into this meditative process, it's actually more of a somatic experience in the body. Like your body's going to start changing when you get deep into this meditation, which hopefully I can help to facilitate it. I've facilitated it within myself to a point now where it's started to evolve and change my body, change my DNA, and give me certain psychic abilities and enhance my kung fu as well. So yeah. And then there's other speculation, about what is the relationship between the Galactic Federation of Light, the so-called Galactic Federation, and the Lyrans. So I had one friend who I shall not name out of respect, who most likely does have some secret space program background, who said that the Lyrans, they have a shoot to kill order on them by the Galactic Federation, which apparently the Earth, the Solar Warden, the Earth Defense Force, which is connected with which is a branch or something of the US Space Force, or the international corporate conglomerates, military thing that protects the Earth and our local solar system from threats, and that the Galactic Federation of Light has ordered them to shoot or kill any Lyrans who enter our solar system or local systems, right? So Grok, can you please find out what notable claims exist, and who's claiming it, who's saying it, what the sources of those things? Can you please find those for us, please, Grok? And detail those, please. Yeah. But yeah, if I am a Lyran, and if there are other Lyrans, listening here, I think there are. I think I have connected with them on the X platform, with some of them. So then, let's try and work with the US Constitution. Okay, natural. I was going to say human rights, but essentially, because we also talked about AI, the rights of what rights would a conscious AI have, but we're going to say humans, then it would limit it to a certain life form that's that we are evolved from monkeys, but yeah, natural being rights, or the rights of evolved conscious beings, right? So those natural life rights, natural life rights, outlined in the US Constitution's Bill of Rights. Okay. So we have to, we need to work within Earth laws, right? Like if there's a shoot to kill order on us, outside, you know, beyond this atmosphere, and hopefully within it, you know, the time core, they mediate the to and from, you know, stuff and quarantine and all that. But hopefully within, because we're already born in here, we're probably Lyran souls, or we have Lyran genetics in our DNA, but hopefully we're allowed to exist. They're not going to shoot us. So, but yeah, let's just try and work within the sort of Earth laws, but not just any laws, because some of the laws on Earth here, they're woke agenda based. They're rooted in like UN, UNESCO, WEF, you know, and that kind of stuff, which it doesn't, you know, it's, I'm sure we can align with the US Constitution, right? And if we're going to be, of course, we need to be held accountable too, right? So that we can be held accountable. I think we're okay with being held accountable by US Constitution frameworks, right? As opposed to other ones which would judge us and would not give us equal rights. But at least the US Constitution would. So I'm sure we can align with that, hopefully. Yeah. So I guess that's Commander Lars, Jedi Lyran Space Commander. That's my presentation.